Alrighty. So Elon Musk has removed the likes function. Well, hasn't removed it. He has made it private from Twitter. Still not calling it X. I think there's some very subtle, if not meaningful reasons why he's done that. I don't think they're good. I want to talk about it because this is a rare instance. I can't think of another one that's happened of one of the kind of like owners of social media company desocializing aspects of social media. Facebook, this would be akin to like Facebook removing likes or making them private or stuff like that. But like they're taking away from a social aspect of the social media as it has existed for quite some time. I can't remember when Twitter came into existence. I think it's coming up on a decade or a bit now. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it's definitely been around for a while. And then with Elon Musk's purchase and subsequent changing of the app to X, some things have happened to the site. Now it's under the auspice and under the kind of banner flag of freedom of speech and expression, and that's kind of like that's your dog whistle, if you will, about certain things in kind of Western culture that you should be aware of. And that's coming from a guy who values free speech, who values freedom of expression, that kind of stuff. But it leans heavy onto a libertarianism that I'm kind of former in. That I want to talk about here because some very kind of noticeable things are happening with Twitter, still not calling it X, that are starting to, trend in a direction. And I just want to kind of point it out. I just want to let people know kind of what's happening with it as an outside observer, as a user of the, the platform, to kind of show what's happening. What I think is happening is a 3-step process to turn Twitter into what is essentially a libertarian's paradise for freedom of speech. That is not, that is not an idyllic kind of state where everyone's talking about highbrow ideas and all that kind of stuff. That's not what's going to happen if we turn this into a libertarian paradise of just pure freedom of speech and expression. With anyone who can create an account and go on. Twitter has been plagued by bots and by pornographic accounts, and since Elon came on board, it has had less problems with child pornography. He got rid of a whole bunch of accounts that were kind of peddling in that and like creating networks, through Twitter and stuff like that. And this may be one of his attempts to kind of make sure that doesn't come back, but there's still freedom of expression. But one of the things that I caution people when they're getting Twitter accounts, like my son, when he was old enough, I talked to him about getting a Twitter account, what you use it for, how you operate on it, all that kind of stuff, and the dangers of the content that you can just freely access on the site because there is no real controls about that kind of stuff. And so what I see happening with Twitter is kind of like a 3-step thing. One, we took it from Twitter, which was kind of this innocuous idea that you can tweet things at people, you can just tweet, you can chirp at people, and it was kitschy and it worked. Everyone liked the Bluebird. There was nothing wrong with the Bluebird. The Bird app was good. Okay, and what did Elon do? He turned it into a black X. Well, that's neat. There's no negative connotations with the black X's on online at all. I'm sure no one will confuse without knowing what Twitter is what X.com might stand for, given the plethora of sites that use similar language in their address bars. X.com has an irrevocable and undeniable connotation of being a pornographic site, because XXX.com would be a pornographic site. XX X videos is a pornographic site. Like that, the connotation of that letter .com is pornographic online. There's no getting around it. There's no getting away from it. So why did Elon do that? He made his freedom of speech flagship, the Twitter.com, which could have stayed Twitter.com. He made it into X.com. Why? Because you got to make it sexy. That's step one. Step two is what he's at right now, I think, is that you make it private. You can operate on this site now, and you can give engagement to users that you want to give engagement to in a way that only you can control and see. If no one else is going to take your phone and look at it, if no one's going to take your phone and make use of the information that you have on it as far as like what you like and whatnot, it's now private to that. So like you can't see what other people are liking, and you could see that before. You could see what they were liking, and some very foolish pastors would let just anyone follow them and then like certain posts, and then you have a list of things that you could just go to your likes, or you could go to a pastor's likes, and you could see everything that they liked. And it was easy for people to have double personas on Twitter, and to have like a second persona where they like inappropriate content that follows their first persona, and you could just go to that persona's account and see all their likes, and it's like you were never there. People could never prove that you were looking at porn, when really it was your alternate persona that had all the likes, and so you could just go to there and check that out. What Elon has done now is he's just removed that sock puppet persona and said, well, now you can just hide in plain sight. You can like whatever you want, and there's no social repercussions. Yeah, because it's the desocialization of Twitter. It's an antisocial behavior that they're implying on Twitter. As opposed to having your likes public, you no longer have that. This doesn't happen in real life. This doesn't happen in society. If you like daffodils, and you collect daffodils, and you show all the different daffodils that you have a fondness for on your property, people can see the yellow flowers and know that you like daffodils. Okay, that you wouldn't put up with daffodils just kind of hanging about on your property if you didn't like daffodils. Okay, and that's how liking things work. And we want to pretend that liking things is private, that if you're on a social media that asks you to generate content, that asks you to generate attention for people who are generating content, that somehow that the like button, which is universal across all social media, that wouldn't exist, that would be private, so you couldn't see that people are getting like. What is this going to do? This is going to let people patronize, through the attention economy of the internet, people that it would be socially disadvantageous to do so. It's socially disadvantageous for like businessmen and pastors and lawyers and congressmen to like pictures and to give that kind of attribution and engagement to people who have less than moral ways of creating income online through that engagement. And since you can monetize what you do on Twitter, since you can monetize your content on Twitter simply by getting lots of engagement, well, this gives you a way to farm engagement to people without outing them as people who consume that kind of content. It's one thing if you're a politician and, people liking your stuff can get them into hot water with other people who vote for the other side of the aisle, that kind of stuff. Or if, you like stuff that would oust you in a workplace, because like if you like a post by someone whose controversial statements, and that gets you into hot water with your workplace because that person is against different policies that you're against, that kind of stuff, I can see the value. I totally see the value. That's not what it's going to get used for. This is a way for people who are making inappropriate content to farm engagement that they will get paid for from appropriate people who now can hide that kind of stuff. They'll never be known whether or not they've liked stuff or not. They'll never know that kind of stuff. And so the step 3 of this 3-step program is that you make it sexy, you make it private, and then you make it pornographic. And that's where this is going to head. It's not going to head to like stoic realms of deep thought and philosophy, and people being able to have freedom of speech like in abundance. That's not where this goes. This only heads to the widespread adoption of pornography on Twitter, which has trended that way since they changed the name to X and didn't keep Twitter. There was no need for that. The removal of likes makes it possible to, I'm going to make sure I read this right. The removal of likes makes it possible to operate on the site even alongside users seeking engagement in an incognito way. It is a way to support people that you wouldn't justifiably able to support or seek who wouldn't be able to justifiably seek full public support in real life. Its libertarianism trends towards debauchery under the flag of free speech and expression. When you raise that flag and wave it, and you don't have anything to say because you're removing your ability to say something by saying I like this, but you're doing it under the flag of, this is free speech. That's why I'm hiding what I like. That's going to trend towards things that no one should see, that no one should be a part of, that are only destructive. Elon doing this, this will make Twitter a more popular place, but it will not make it a better place. And it will make Twitter a place where you can farm out your engagement to crowds that would never normally follow you. And the kinds of people that will capitalize on that are not deep thinkers. They're not moral thinkers. They're not those kinds of people. They're people who know that there are people who, don't have the willpower to say no, but have the willpower to say yes. And they just don't want to get caught for it. And so that's what they're going to do. So the only caveat in this whole system is whether or not your Twitter account is something that, other people have access to. There's this thought and process that, Twitter can be your voice online, but it's who you are online. And I strongly recommend Christians that are on this site to give their account details to one other trusted person. It doesn't need to be your wife. It doesn't need to be your girlfriend, stuff like that. Maybe it's friends who have access to each other's Twitter accounts, because now you have a guaranteed private way to be able to, just like things that, you shouldn't like, and to be able to give them the attention without giving yourself the exposure in real life to that kind of stuff. No one would post pornographic content on their Twitter feed. But that's what a like is. It's the other side of that. It's a post that you don't have to create. By saying like, you're saying that you would post that, except that you didn't. That you agree with it. That you agree with it being posted as a piece of content on the site. That's what likes are, and that's why they're important, because it shows kind of what public discourse is. You make that private. You make that private, and things that should never hit the screen, that should not be on the internet, like a lot of what is content these days, including all of pornography, can hit the screen and get liked because it's private now, and that is the only direction this goes. It doesn't matter how windy the path. If you're headed east, you're going to end up east, and even if you're doing this, you're going to end up east, and it's a problem. So that's my thoughts on it. That's where I see this going. I don't know what the future is going to hold for Twitter, especially with Elon Musk at, the helm and stuff like that. But this kind of action, for whatever seemingly justifiable reason he would do it, this doesn't end well. This ends with a proliferation of pornography on Twitter that will just kind of suck people in, and no one will know because it's not getting, noticed, because there are no likes. You can't see top posts based on likes because we're hiding the likes, and it'll let people monetize the attention that should not be given to them because their content is not appropriate for the public. It will not just protect people from holding maybe controversial opinions. It will allow people to monetize attention from inappropriate content with no recourse and no social consequences, as it were. So that's my thoughts on the desocialization of Twitter and the removal of likes. Hope you guys like it.